Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. Of course, taking the EZA Strength Nameku into ESBR. Not gonna lie to you, I kind of forgot about this video, I really did, which is of course my bad. But better late than never, we're still within the same celebration. It's just one vid. Of course, I haven't done any red zone videos on Nameku. I'm not gonna lie, that isn't with the lack of trying. I have tried, let's just say the decent amount of runs I've attempted, things didn't quite go my way. So that's why there hasn't been one of them. And the last week when I've been doing red zone runs also, they've been cheeks. The red zone runs have been straight arse the last week. Nothing has really been going my way. So doing any red zone video for me right now kind of seems impossible. And I mean, especially with the three attempt cap, which on a content creation kind of standpoint, I mean, for everyone, but even more so with like the content creation where you only have 3 attempts a day. I really wish they got rid of it. Like, it's just so annoying. Like, it doesn't need to be there to begin with. I kind of get why it's there, but it just doesn't really need to be there to begin with. And then when you're trying to make videos on units in red zone, that attempt doesn't happen within 3 turns. Immediately the video is pushed back. The video is pushed back to another day. And then that also ruins other stuff, because then you're like, once I do this guy, I'm going to do another unit, and then that has to wait because you're waiting to do the... Like, it's so annoying. I really wish it wasn't there. But I haven't actually attempted any red zone runs with Nameku for a little bit, just because of how unreliable he is in there. Like, don't get me wrong, he can be amazing, but that comes with like a 30% chance. Like, it is. If his guard doesn't come off, he can be a liability. He's just not consistent or reliable enough, and trying to get all the luck and the stars aligned along with him, like trying to get the luck with the guard, it just makes things very difficult. It just also makes things very annoying. Yeah, I mean, it will happen eventually, soon. I mean, hopefully it'll happen soon. I'm trying, man. But as I said, my last few red zone runs, man, they've been doo-doo. They've been doo-doo. How much defense do you have right now? 156k over Whis. With that advantage, he should be fine. But yeah, Nameku, I mean, so far, I mean, his EZA is good. I mean, we all still wish, of course, that guard chance got increased to high. While it's not guaranteed, and while it's not going to change a whole lot too much, I mean, simple math, where the math is mathing, 50% chance is obviously more than a 30% chance. A 50% chance the guard will happen and consistently occur more than a 30% chance. It's just maths. Maths is mathing right there. So that would have been nice. Big 2.2 mil crit, and of course he's tanking for double digits. Not to mention he also raises attack and defense by 30% on super. Of course, that all allies attack and defense plus 30% on super is very nice, which also applies to himself. But still, in one of the newer one of the new SBR stages, attack and defense plus 150, he hasn't even been hit yet, so he doesn't get any additional attack and defense plus 30%. It goes up to 59%. Just 156k defense with attack and defense by 30% on super. Yes, he had type advantage and a Whis. Double digits. That means even without the Whis, he probably still would have tanked for double digits, which I'm completely here for. But yeah, you know, Nameku, his EZA is still good. It's good. I'm not denying that. It's good. Of course, the guard chance being at 30%, especially in harder content like red zone, is such a pain, because I said it's just not reliable enough. It's not consistent enough. If it comes off, he's amazing. He is amazing in red zone, especially because he can also stack defense. If it doesn't come off, as I said, liability. Unless he stacked his defense enough to the point where he can tank double digits or just tank basics well, he's still viable. If he gets caught lacking with a super though, like the majority of other units in the game, and his guard isn't active, yeah, as I said, he can be a liability, which is such a shame. But so far, from what I've used of him, I mean, we did use him in, I think, the Vegeta event, which of course he done really well in, because he got to stack the entire time. If his guard comes off, of course, even better, especially in the final phase, where SSB lowers defense and he has typeless advantage. He done really well there. I don't think I'm going to do videos in there anymore, just because it's not a challenge. Every unit that I take into Goku and Vegeta event just kind of wash it. They walk it. Like, it's too easy now. I don't think I'm going to do videos in the Goku or Vegeta event anymore, unless of course new category missions. It just doesn't really seem to make sense to do it. As I said, it's just far too easy now. Like, it's just no unit really has a challenging time in there. I just kind of don't see the point. But you know, in terms of ESBR, I mean, immediately when it comes to his kit, he's not ideally constructed for ESBR. Of course, you know, you have his transformation, which is transformation conditions are good. You know, turn 3, 77% less or HP, or 77% HP or less to get it off from turn 3, which is good. Unfortunately, in ESBR, however, where, you know, 3 turns is pretty much just over halfway the amount of turns you're going to be spending in each fight, you're probably not going to be seeing Goku transforming into a Super Saiyan all too often. Like, it's very easy to get it off, don't get me wrong. Taking, you know, enough damage to get to 77% HP or less in ESBR nowadays, relatively easy, depending on the units you're bringing, but still relatively easy. I mean, we're basically there now, I think, or near. But 3 turns, I said, is pretty much about halfway, just over halfway the amount of time you're going to be spending in each fight. 5-6 turns, I said, is kind of the usual average. Any more than that, and the ESBR run is typically not going so well. Not saying you can't complete the run, but I said typically each fight is 5 or 6 turns long. So seeing him actually transform into a Super Saiyan is something you're probably not going to see all that often. And even when you do, you're only really utilizing it for about, realistically, 2 turns, a turn and a half. But more or less 2 turns. Which, I mean, it is okay, but, you know, as I said, that's the majority of the fight where you're not utilizing him being a Super Saiyan, was, of course, where he's going to be stronger, naturally. He's going to stack defense, which is also not ideal for the likes of ESBR. You know, of course, 5-6 turns, and then when you can take in consideration, you're going to be seeing Goku as a Super Saiyan for like a turn, maybe 2. Obviously, he's not going to be able to tank, or he's not going to be able to build up his defense on Super by stacking hardly whatsoever. Like, literally, hardly anything whatsoever. So there is that. However, from what we've seen from him so far, I mean, he does have type advantage. I think the Whis is still active. I mean, it must be, right? Because we only took... I'm not even sure. I think the Whis is still active. But he's been tanking pretty well so far. But those have been against type disadvantage units. But he's been tanking well so far. Even with just the raise all allies attack and defense by 30%, the attack and defense plus 150 at the start of turn, having the 59% extra attack and defense on his passive. Yeah, he's been tanking really, really well. I'm gonna do, yeah, because one of the Super Saiyan Blues is actually floating, so I'm actually gonna do this. Yeah, so far he's been tanking well considering, but as I said, in terms of him transforming and him actually getting to stack, even though ESBR isn't ideal for stackers anyway, yeah, you're not really going to be seeing him in Super Saiyan doing too much all too often, and you're probably hardly going to stack whatsoever, which is to be expected with stacker units. But I mean, so far, even though he's still pre-transformation in these 2 fights, damage output's been solid. He's hit a good crit. Of course, mine is rainbowed. I mean, a lot of you probably already have dupes in this guy because of how old he is. And he's been tanking relatively well as well. That's another thing, with him being on rotation, we can't even utilize his support, which is another thing that even in red zone you won't be able to utilize too much. You know, if his guard comes off, you can slap him in slot 1 and he'd probably do really well, but because it's only a 30% chance, that's what I'm gonna do. So raising all allies attack and defense by 30% in kind of any event, you're not really going to be able to full utilize, because then you would put him in slot 1. I mean, if there was no attacks here, then you could probably get away with it, especially if an item active. You super attack, raise all allies attack and defense by 30%. They will do increased damage and increased defense for the turn. But, you know, typically Goku's going to be in slot 2, so only the slot 3 unit can really utilize it. And most of the time, the slot 3 unit is just someone you don't want on main rotation, so it might not even do too much. And then sometimes you might even put Goku there, depending on what phase you're facing, which means you don't get to utilize it on anyone but Goku, which definitely does help him tank. But unfortunately, outside of that, you can't really utilize that too much as well. And I love that part of his kit. But we do have him in Super Saiyan, which we're probably only going to utilize for like a turn or 2. Literally, actually a turn. Because if we get past this turn, next turn Gotenks is dead. Which again, I mean, what's his defense right now? 222k, right? With no stacks. We've got the attack and defense plus 180. We've got the additional defense plus 59% when HP is 77% or less. That's actually not bad defense for the ESBR, like the newer stages of ESBR. On top of a medium chance to guard as well, he's actually really good defensively for ESBR. And that defense is not bad, but again, as I said, because he's a stacker unit and it takes you more than half the fight to actually get him somewhat stacked up, or not even stacked up, what transformed in ESBR, his defense is always going to be around about like just over the 200k mark. So you're going to be quite reliant on his guard. I knew that was coming, but it's okay. We got the revive. That's what I wanted to come off so I could save an item. But yeah, we're taking more than half the fight to actually get him transformed into Super Saiyan. He's going to be like lingering around that 200k mark for defense, which is okay. But considering once he transforms, the only extra defense you are getting is, of course, when your HP is 77% or less, which is relatively easy to get. Especially once he's transformed the first time, because your HP will be on that anyway, because he needs that to actually transform. And you know, you could always pop like an item. You could always pop like an Usher, and a Whis, an Icarus, and then kind of keep your HP maintained around that threshold, so he keeps the extra defense. Just over 200k defense isn't bad for the likes of ESBR to be able to tank, but considering he's a stacker, which means he only gets stacking on his defense, and again, you can't utilize that for too long, literally like a turn, maybe two. It means his defense isn't always going to be in the best of spots, but as I said, even prior to transforming, he's been tanking relatively well. So maybe he doesn't actually need that much defense, and especially once he's in Super Saiyan, if his medium chance to guard does come off with 200k defense, he's going to be tanking really, really well. Of course, he's going to be tanking really, really well. But that's if that 30% chance to guard actually comes off, considering how inconsistent that is. But another thing, of course, is still in his favor, even in ESBR, and kind of any event you take him in. He's next to one of the best units in the game. He's next to one of the best defensive units currently on Global, which is, of course, LR Berku, the stacking, which even he can't utilize too much here, but, you know, you have the guaranteed guard once he's got the revival off. You have guard when your HP is above, what, 60%, I think it is? So that also helps him a lot, kind of avoid any extra and unnecessary damage, because he can chill in slot 2. And as I said, have this absolute monster chilling in slot 1. But I mean, we have no type advantage here. We are going to get the Dokkan attack off, so I'm actually going to Usher, and I'm going to let Goku take this. I mean, at least everyone else can then take advantage of the attack and defense plus 30% he's giving to all allies, so that's nice. But yeah, so far he's done relatively well. I mean, considering all of his kind of, I can't remember what that word is I'm looking for, but considering all of his kind of downfalls, considering all of his, you know, his asterisks by his name, he still performs really well. His EZA is still good, it's still solid, it's just that medium chance to guard just really hurts him, especially in red zone where you need a lot more than a 30% chance to guard and a stacker. Like, I know Cooler's just come out and he stacks defense, but Cooler gets to 500k defense in like no time at all, especially with built-in additionals. And of course, Goku just doesn't have that. I said, and if that 30% chance the guard doesn't come off in red zone, that's lights. In ESBR, you have a little bit more leeway, so obviously it's nowhere near as difficult. You would still take a lot of damage though on a super with like type neutral. I mean, even to be fair that he can't stack here, even though ESBR isn't in his ideal environment to actually perform, you know, in terms of transforming, finally being able to stack, you have no time at all to really do any. And even potentially even utilize the kind of really inconsistent 30% chance to guard. He's still been performing relatively well, I can't lie. Solid damage output, he's rainbowed, he's hit some pretty decent crits for over 2 milli. Defensively, he's tanked really well. I know the majority has been with an item active against type advantage units, but even then, he would still tank really well against them, because of course, the type advantage. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, so far, I'm actually relatively impressed, considering this isn't his domain. This really isn't where you should be taking him. He's actually been doing really well. You know, considering we may not see it. Actually, we might see it next turn, but it depends on the additionals from this guy right now. If he was taking damage or taking a hit from a unit or an enemy that is type neutral against him, he would actually still tank it relatively well. Post-super, or no, yeah, post-super, he would actually tank it relatively well. Would it be double digits? Probably not, but would it be like 50, 60k? No, I don't think so. It'd probably be like 20, 30k, which, to be fair, in the grand scheme of things, considering he hasn't really got going, again, he hasn't transformed, doesn't have his guard, even though you can't do it all too much, wouldn't have stacked whatsoever, he would actually be tanking that relatively well considering. But there we go, almost near the end once again. We've got his Super Saiyan transformation off. Do you know what? I'm actually going to pop him in slot 1 just to see how he tanks. We do have an Icarus active. An Icarus active with 212k defense is pretty good. If his guard is active, perfect. He's going to be tanking this all for nothing. If it's not active, I want to see how much he takes. Icarus, we do have an Icarus active, but it doesn't give too much. 65k damage, and that's no guard. He has no guard active. So he's going to stack his defense up a little bit. Just a little bit. Yeah, double digits. Again, there's an Icarus active, so even without the Icarus active with no guard, he still would have tanked that relatively well at type neutral. If that's doing double digits, then he's taking like 20-30k on a basic, which, or maybe even less than that, which is actually quite solid for the new ESBR stages. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, he's done really well. Again, you can't fully utilize him because of course he stacks. You need him to actually transform in turn 3 to actually stack up, and that's if your HP is at 77% or less. So you can't really utilize him, but I mean, even without transforming, he's still actually done relatively well. I'm not even gonna lie. With all his shortcomings, that's the word I was looking for earlier. He actually done quite, he wasn't bad. That's mainly because he has Birdiku next to him, but considering, he actually done quite well. It's still such a shame about the guard though. It's still such a shame about the guard, but even with all his shortcomings in ESBR that we've already gone through, he's still a viable option. Whether you run him on main rotation is probably a different story, but he is still viable to be able to go in ESBR, even though he has all these shortcomings to actually go into ESBR, because he's not ideally built for it. He's still done well. He's still done well. But yeah, I'm going to attempt a few red zone runs with this guy very soon again, and hopefully they can pop for me. But as I said, recently, my red zone runs have been absolute bum cheeks. So we'll have to see how that goes. Don't forget to let me know what you think down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video, guys, and push!